This is the second time today in reading the comment section that someone has said that I'm telling lies in my video. Now, the only thing though that they haven't said is exactly what I'm telling lies about. So this gives me an indication that they probably didn't have enough time to type up exactly what the lie was in a long string of comments, number one, or they are more than likely trying to gaslight and change and deflect from the subject matter at hand. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm a PC and PlayStation gamer. Been gaming for a short period of time compared to a lot of folk. However, the gaming industry has taken a turn in terms of the discourse to dirt that somewhere, somehow, I thought it would make sense if we could take a look at everything from a data-driven perspective. This is very interesting, isn't it? It's, in my opinion, somewhat slightly different from how I've seen it done, and I think it gives us a clear picture as to what's going on. So what was this comment, about? This person said in my video where I said that, at this point in time, Xbox has taken the position away from PlayStation, not because I wanted to say so, but because PlayStation said so. And this person said in their comments to me, they said there is so much cope in this video. LOL, PlayStation is outselling Xbox almost 3-1. Also, counting Activision players as Xbox console players is laughable. But I never did that. I never counted Activision players as Xbox console players. That's not how the metrics have gone. In fact, I used Matt Piscatella's dataset from LinkedIn, where he usually posts a lot of his findings in terms of the monthly active players on different games every single week that he can get the data out, and we can see the behavior of gamers across the 3 different platforms. So I attribute all of these players to the ecosystems of whoever is providing that game, and that's how I've always done it because, in my opinion, it's the best way to go. For example, let's say for PlayStation, we can simply use, say, Helldivers 2 as PlayStation players. These folk are playing on Steam, but they're still considered monthly active users for a PlayStation game. So when we look at Call of Duty, we can also do the same thing as well because Call of Duty on Steam is number 2. So more, people are playing an Xbox game. Xbox considers them monthly active users, as well as Destiny 2, which we can also attribute now to PlayStation. That's how it's always done. But this individual, I think, like I said, wants to deflect and gaslight from what's going on and try to, in a sense, fudge what I said. Now, do you know what this is called? This is called, in my opinion anyways, a means to basically shift the conversation away from what it is that we're talking about. I mean, you can call it a red herring, or you can call it a straw man. Sorry, I guess, it kind of almost fits in both categories, to be honest. They make up an argument that you didn't make. Why would I say that, Activision games are Xbox monthly active user games? Even when I've cited in the past that Minecraft is a part of this list, which is almost always on the top 15, category. And then they make up this argument that, you argued that Activision games are part of Xbox console players. No. Dear audience member, you only heard what you wanted to hear. And this is the problem that we have. A lot of people are only interested in hearing what they want to hear. But here's the thing. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in actually saying and basically depicting what actually is. So they said this, trying to count Activision Blizzard players as Xbox players is total cope. How? When I counted Helldivers players as PlayStation players and showed that the reason why we have this huge, incessant, now recent push for PlayStation games to have the PlayStation Plus accounts before you can play even single-player games is a new development, and it's basically PlayStation trying to pursue this new monthly active user data set. It's not a cope. It's you just trying to make up stuff out of nowhere. In fact, let me go ahead and pretty much put this out there because, you must say this, I guess, in today's day and age. Look at Marvel's Spider-Man that came out 2 years ago. PlayStation did not require you to have any PlayStation account. To them, they wanted to just sell copies of the game. However, another game that came out around the same time made its way to PC, and that was Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima launched on the PlayStation 4 platform, think about a year or 2 later. and it requires you to have a PlayStation Network account, and it says it was required for online multiplayer. But that's what people thought. Okay, like maybe if you need it for online multiplayer. Well, no, that's not where it ended. If you notice, even single player titles like Until Dawn Remake, a remake is requiring that you have a PlayStation Network account, even though it's not necessary for anything. And God of War Ragnarok also, which is a single player game, also requires that you use a PlayStation account, even though Ragnarok has no multiplayer. And if you actually go back, you will realize that the 2018 God of War was also a single player game without the requirement for a PlayStation account. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all can see exactly what it is that we're dealing with. In fact, if I want to dig a little deeper, because I have to do this, Predator Hunting Grounds, this was a game that was published by PlayStation, developed by Ilphonic. PlayStation sold the publishing rights to this company back so that they could publish the game on Xbox. When this game was on here, there was no requirement that you have a PlayStation Plus account, and it was a multiplayer game. So what is PlayStation pursuing? They're pursuing monthly active users, something that Xbox and Microsoft has access to. So we count them all in. That's exactly what we do. So when people talk about Xbox, they're talking about Xbox and the console. Who is people? This is the Video Game Fight School channel. I speak and vouch for myself. When I tell you about Xbox, I'm speaking about Xbox as an ecosystem as a whole. I play on PC, and I use Xbox as an ecosystem proxy using the Xbox app. And I have an Xbox that I bought, I think it was a few years ago, finally, just so I could understand what the ecosystem was about. And I also use it as well. They're PlayStation fans. Do not try to gaslight another PlayStation fan. You will fail. The reason you fail is because I'm very well versed in your ways. I stayed and I listened and I actually read and engaged in your communities. And so now you want to turn on me? It will fail, and I will expose you, because this is exactly what I hold inside deeply, that people that you would think will be in the same community as you will turn on you because you're not licking the boots of a company. That's what I think happened to me more than anything else when I made the slightest criticism for Marvel Spider-Man 2. Sorry, but I have no brand loyalty in my bones anymore. I'm too old for that nonsense. So this is what y'all are facing, man. Y'all are going to have to deal with this stuff. Either you block the channel, or you're going to continue to basically see yourself out here as being just disingenuous, because that's what you're trying to do. All right, I'm chill. I just got back from work. Rough day with middle school kids. So when I come in and read comments like this, it's like, what? I'd expect adults to kind of treat, situations in a better light, but whatever. This person said the Xbox Series X has sold less than 16 million consoles in 4 years. The Series S has sold 15 million consoles, okay, which has put us at around 30 plus million users. Then they said this, Xbox is terrible, which is why they're putting games on PlayStation. This is a lie. The total number of Xbox Series X's and S's actually is around the same number of the entire population of the nation of Sweden. Y'all are crazy thinking that this is actually a bad thing, because somewhere, somehow in your minds, you really do think that everybody is a child. You think people are babies. Somebody was asking me a question today in the comment section. They said, how old are you anyways? And I was like, what? What did they even mean by that? Did I say the same population? Sorry, I meant to say 3 times the population of the entire nation of Sweden. So anybody the person was asking me, and I was like, I don't want to say my age, but I asked the person, I said, what does my age have to do with anything? They said, well, you're young, so you don't really know all this stuff about the history. And I'm like, honestly, whether or not I'm young, it doesn't matter. And I thank you for that, for thinking I'm young. I mean, I teach middle schoolers that I'm now the age of their parents, so they think I'm old. So I appreciate the compliment, but that matters not to the conversation that we're having. Y'all are going to go import 10 years worth of your own gripes with Xbox into this conversation. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is the unfortunate situation where we found out that PlayStation, inside of their coffers, were shaking to their boots, knowing that Xbox was about to take their biggest game that made them the most money and flambe it and serve it up to Game Pass users for $10-11 a month on PC and a little bit more change on console, even though you can get it for less on console as well as PC. But let's not talk about that. And so that's what you guys are probably afraid of, and I think it's probably irking you. Saw another user tell me that this document is not a reliable source, as well as Matt Piscatella's data that he diligently gathers every week. And I'm not even certain he's the one that's gathering. He's the executive director, so someone else is probably doing it, an intern. And he just collated the data and he publishes it. And he's very well versed in the gaming scene. Also worked in the gaming industry for many years, so I'm sure he has contacts and pipelines into the way to get this data set from legitimate sources who wish to participate. Again, my fellow PlayStation fans, let's not do this data dodge thing. I get it. PlayStation is selling 61 million consoles. No one refutes that. No one diminishes that. What we're saying is, when it comes down to the number of games and the number of players actually engaging in these games, Xbox is toasting PlayStation. This is a fact. There's nothing you can do about it, and PlayStation is trying to mitigate this, and you can see it with their 12 live service games that they promised to us, and they basically brought out 2 out of the 12. They deleted one, and again, maybe 10 more or something is coming. We don't know. Maybe they'll go rework Concord somewhere or take it out as a tax write-off, but that's exactly why they're doing this. Microsoft made one move and bought Call of Duty and Overwatch, all in the same window. And then they made another move. They have Elder Scrolls Online, which is bringing in $15 million a month, according to reports. And somehow, I'm supposed to sit here and worry about you talking about console sales, a loss entity that you got to sell for a loss to be able to sell games. They continued. PlayStation is the market leader with $30 billion in revenue, which is more than Xbox, even with Activision Blizzard. I'm glad you kind of switched from console sales to the revenue, because this is where you would have probably put yourself deeper into the foot of the alligator that you started out with, because now your toes were in it and it bit you off because you tried to, go ahead and, in a sense, create a straw man argument that I did not make, because we all know that Nintendo sold more consoles. And again, you had to divert quickly, or maybe, you were looking at revenue stance. Now, in terms of revenue, I don't necessarily think that I'm too bothered looking at revenue. All I'm bothered about is that PlayStation has finally claimed that Xbox has surpassed them using the word leapfrog. Look here, everybody, look at the mouse circling in the leapfrogged over them. And then at the same time, they mentioned that Microsoft's comprehensive ecosystem, when coupled with exclusivity, creates greater dominance. Look at it, dominance over them. In terms of revenue, why would PlayStation be worried about this if their revenue streams were strong enough to be able to push or mitigate this back down the road? Why did PlayStation say here that their pillars are already dated and behind the competition? Why did they say that Xbox's Game Pass, which provided premium content and an expectation of free best-in-class games, why did they say that it creates an unsustainable model for them? They can't keep up with that. They can't match it. Xbox has already developed the ecosystem. The forefront costs have already covered themselves. Game Pass being profitable to the tune of estimated about, $3 billion in terms of revenue, having spent about $1 billion or more in expenses. And they're just basically making hundreds of millions of dollars every month on Game Pass, even with about 30 plus million subs. If that number were to double, I don't know what PlayStation would do to themselves. And most of your PlayStation fans will leave PlayStation Plus. You will. You will buy a Steam Deck. You will buy a Rogue Ally. You will buy a PC and get out of that PlayStation subscription ecosystem because it's not the best in the market. And so all of this talk about console sales, even PlayStation themselves didn't even bother mentioning that. They now understand that Xbox, according to their document, I'm citing PlayStation. I'm not even making any. I'm just looking at it right here. Microsoft can supply multi-game subscription 50%, console 50%, PC 60%. They made it all. They went back and made it up. Y'all cried about Starfield, and then it ended up being one of the biggest games on Steam in 2023. Y'all cried about, all of this stuff, and the games are selling because, again, it seems like Xbox, and their parent company, they know how to do business. They tried going to tit-for-tat console war with y'all, but it didn't work out because, PlayStation has the perception in the industry. And a lot of people have already pretty much made up their minds about their libraries. PlayStation has more PlayStation Plus subscribers than Xbox has on Game Pass. This video is total cope and filled with so many lies. Which lie did I tell? I never said that PlayStation Plus had less subscribers than Game Pass. You just came up with all of this stuff. And thank you very much for the comment. As much as this is, a great enterprise and all of that, I really appreciate you giving me stuff to make videos about. And for those of you that say I keep posting 10 videos a day, they won't leave me alone. They keep giving me, this is a gift. When life throws you lemons, you make videos. Peace out.